Justin Bieber's name has been linked to plenty of controversies over the years, but recently, a new wave of rumors has brought back something that many fans thought was long forgotten: his connection to Madison Beer. What started as a sweet story about a superstar helping a rising singer is now being re-examined under a much darker light. And this time, fans think there's way more to the story than just music. Let's rewind for a second. Back in 2012, Madison was just a regular teenager uploading covers to YouTube. That all changed when Justin tweeted one of her videos, calling her a future star. Overnight, she went viral. Justin's team signed her, and she quickly became part of the Bieber circle, appearing at events, hanging out backstage, and being seen in the same spaces as him. On the surface, it looked like a classic mentor-protege relationship, but not everyone bought that narrative. Almost immediately, people online began pointing out the unusual closeness between the two. There were lingering stares in interviews, inside jokes, awkward body language, the kind of moments that fans love to overanalyze. But the whispers really started when some of those friendly interactions felt off. And despite both of them denying anything romantic ever happened, the vibe was hard to ignore. Fast forward to 2024, and TikTok is fueling those old suspicions with a new level of intensity. Users started reposting old interviews of Madison where she seemed uncomfortable whenever Justin's name came up. In some clips, she stutters or changes the subject. In others, she gives vague answers that just raise more questions. One viral theory claims that Madison has been silently trying to distance herself from Justin for years, but can't speak out publicly because of some kind of industry pressure. And then came the Diddy connection. In a shocking twist, online sleuths started connecting dots between Madison, Justin, and cheer of all people, Sean Diddy Combs. If you've been following recent headlines, you already know Diddy is facing serious accusations involving abuse of power, control, and disturbing behavior inside his circle. Some theorists claim there's a hidden network in the entertainment industry, one that allegedly involves grooming, manipulation, and using fame as leverage. And the craziest part? They think Justin may have been a key player, not just a victim, but someone who eventually played along with the system. Could Justin Bieber, the same kid who sang Baby and talked about finding God, be tied to something this dark? Or is this just another round of internet exaggeration and conspiracy? Either way, the timing of these resurfaced videos, Madison's silence, and Diddy's legal issues are making people look twice and ask questions no one's dared to before. Let's talk about the parties. The infamous secretive gatherings that keep popping up in every Hollywood controversy timeline. You know the ones: sprawling mansions hidden in the hills, VIP-only guest lists, no phones allowed, and a strict code of silence. These weren't your average industry mixers. These were events with agendas, and somehow, young stars like Madison Beer were always there. Not just invited, but reportedly expected to show up. And that's where the speculation begins. Fans started connecting the dots. Why were the same celebrities appearing in photos from these parties over and over? Why did some of them disappear from the spotlight shortly afterward? And why are so many now tied to lawsuits, NDAs, or deeply buried scandals? When people looked closer, unsettling patterns began to emerge. And then there's Diddy. His name keeps surfacing in all the wrong places, in connection to lawsuits, abuse allegations, and manipulative behavior. What once seemed like isolated rumors are now being taken seriously by federal investigators. And guess who else appeared at events linked to that circle? Justin, Scooter, even Madison, back when she was still a teenager. At the time, people thought it was just high-profile networking. But now, it's being re-examined with a whole new level of scrutiny. Some fans believe Madison wasn't just invited, she was positioned. Offered up as the next breakout star, someone who could be molded to fit the industry's ideal. Young, beautiful, eager, managed closely by people who had everything to gain. And that's what has people so concerned. Because those parties, they weren't random. According to theories, they were tests, a way to see who would follow the unspoken rules, who could be controlled, and who would stay quiet. And what about Justin Bieber? For years, there have been whispers that he tried to escape that very system. During his spiritual purpose era, his sudden shift in behavior, from wild child to born-again Christian, was seen by some as a reaction to things he couldn't unsee. People think he tried to distance himself from Scooter Braun in the darker corners of the music business, maybe even as a way to protect himself and Madison. Insiders claim Justin hit a breaking point, that he warned Madison to walk away before it was too late. But it's not that easy. When your entire public image and income are wrapped up in an industry that thrives on silence, stepping away isn't just difficult, it's dangerous. Let's not forget Madison's own admissions about her mental health. She's talked about anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. And while she's often framed those struggles around social media pressure, fans believe there's more to the story. Something darker. Something that scarred her in ways the public doesn't fully understand. Today, Madison appears more in control. She's independent, careful with her words. But that caution, it speaks louder than any interview ever could. Now, here's where things get even more unsettling. Madison Beer isn't the only young artist Justin Bieber has been linked to in ways that raise eyebrows. Fans are starting to see a pattern, and not a good one. Let's rewind. Before Madison, there was Jasmine Villegas, another rising star who toured with Justin when she was just 16. Rumors of a romance followed, and paparazzi even caught them kissing in the back of a car. But the moment the media caught on, everything went silent. Jasmine's career momentum slowed, and she too eventually faded into the background. Sound familiar? Then came Caitlin Beatles, Justin's early teenage girlfriend, who also had ties to powerful families within the church and entertainment world. While their relationship seemed innocent on the surface, insiders have claimed that Justin's image was being carefully molded around those early connections, possibly to make his brand more controllable. And again, like Madison and Jasmine, Caitlin eventually disappeared from the spotlight without a clear reason. And now, the internet is buzzing with threads that trace all these connections to deeper roots in Hollywood's elite circles, particularly the ones involving controversial figures like Diddy, Scooter Braun, and certain high-profile producers. Some fans believe Justin was used as a gatekeeper, someone who could handpick young talent, offer them a taste of fame, and then either elevate or suppress their careers based on whether they played by the rules. This idea might sound wild until you look at what's been coming out recently. Several lawsuits and whistleblower interviews have exposed how the industry allegedly grooms young stars, isolates them from their families, and pushes them into uncomfortable situations under the guise of mentorship. And let's be real, the timeline of Madison's rise and retreat fits that mold way too well. And remember that one clip from Madison's live stream in 2017? A fan asked if she still talked to Justin. Her response? A long pause, a nervous laugh, and then, "I don't really want to get into that." She tried to brush it off, but her body language told a different story, shifting in her seat, looking down, and biting her lip. That moment is now being dissected frame by fans who believe she was too afraid to speak up, even years after their professional connection ended. But here's where it gets even creepier. Some TikTok users claim Madison was spotted at events connected to parties thrown by people now under serious scrutiny. The kind of parties where phones were banned, NDAs were mandatory, and security was tight. And guess who else was reportedly seen at those same events? Justin, Diddy, and other celebrities who are now being exposed for their alleged roles in Hollywood's darkest secrets. All of this leads us back to one chilling question. Did Madison Beer know too much too soon? And when she tried to pull away, was she punished for it? Not with scandal, but with silence? As more and more evidence gets unearthed and fan investigations grow deeper, the narrative is shifting fast. What once seemed like a fairy tale discovery story now looks more like the beginning of something much darker, something Madison might never have signed up for. As federal investigations continue to close in on key figures in the entertainment industry, the pressure is mounting, and not just for the obvious players. People are starting to ask tough questions about those who were adjacent to the chaos, but stayed publicly silent. And one of the most talked about names right now is Madison Beer. Was she just another young artist trying to make it? Or was she more entangled in this web of power and secrecy than we ever imagined? Think about this. In the years following her viral discovery, Madison rarely spoke out against the people who managed or promoted her. Even after her falling out with Scooter Braun, she never exposed any behind-the-scenes drama. That silence felt intentional. And in Hollywood, silence is rarely innocent. And let's be clear, this isn't about blaming victims. If Madison was manipulated or coerced, like many believe, then her silence might have been the only way to survive. But now that more people are speaking up and lawsuits are unsealing dark truths, her past is being reevaluated under a sharper lens. And it's not just about Madison anymore. It's about the system that allowed this to happen to so many young stars. Online forums and fan accounts have exploded with theories. Some claim Madison witnessed inappropriate behavior firsthand, either at parties or behind closed doors in industry meetings. Others suggest she was used as a pawn to keep Justin in line. Someone dangled in front of him to distract or control him during his most rebellious years. And if that's even partially true, it paints a chilling picture of how power operates behind the scenes. What's really unsettling is how rehearsed many young stars now seem in interviews. You'll notice a pattern: carefully worded answers, nervous laughs when discussing their early fame, and vague references to difficult times. It's a kind of code, and fans are learning how to read between the lines. Madison fits that mold perfectly. She says just enough to hint at deeper trauma, but not enough to trigger any real consequences for those in power. And then there's the question nobody wants to ask: what if she can't talk? What if she's still under contracts or NDAs that prevent her from sharing the full story? Or worse, what if she's protecting others who are still vulnerable? The silence becomes deafening once you realize how many young women in this industry have stories they've never been allowed to tell. Still, there's hope. With more lawsuits coming forward and public support growing for whistleblowers, the tide might be turning. If Madison, or anyone else from that era, ever chooses to speak out, it could shake the industry to its core. Until then, all we have are fragments, old interviews, cryptic lyrics, and a growing collection of fan theories. But one thing's for sure: people aren't buying the polished narratives anymore. They want the truth. And the more we look back, the clearer it becomes. Madison Beer's rise to fame wasn't just a viral moment, it was a chapter in a much bigger, darker story. If this rabbit hole shocked you, wait until you hear what's happening with other former teen stars, the ones who suddenly vanished or spiraled. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. And drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Madison was silenced, or is this all just a coincidence? The truth might be hidden in plain sight.